Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being with us, or the good afternoon. Thank you for being with us today. You know, there's some things in life that's got to be true because you just can't make it up. So I want to introduce you to a young man who's 32 years of age, and he's old enough to know better, Christopher Hendricks. Now, if you don't know Christopher, you ought to take a look at him. There was a lot of people that got to meet him this morning around I-4 and 557 at the Marathon gas station. This is a picture of Christopher. It's a very nice picture in his state prison outfit. You see, he was sentenced to 10 years in state prison for aggravated battery, which was a plea down from attempted murder. He did his full sentence, which with gain time comes up to about almost 8 years, and was released. Apparently he behaved, or at least he was not caught, for 3 years. So let's fast forward to this morning. This morning at 7:45, he is on Interstate 4, and he's involved in a hit and run crash. That's right. He crashes his vehicle that's registered to him, and as he runs off of the road into the swampy area in his vehicle, Christopher says to himself, I don't think I want to hang around for this, so he runs. I don't know what he thought he was going to accomplish because the vehicle was registered to Christopher Hendricks. He's from Bellevue, Florida, which is in the area of Ocala. Well, now Christopher is on foot. He's fleeing on foot from this hit and run crash he's involved in that the Highway Patrol is working. And he runs up to the Marathon gas station on 557, which is just south of the interstate. And he's tried to steal this lady's vehicle, her gray Chevy Colorado pickup truck. Well, she didn't think much of that. In fact, she was in the process of gassing her vehicle when he tried to get in, so she appropriately took the gas nozzle and sprayed him with gasoline. Christopher rethought that. He decided that that was not the vehicle that he wanted, so he fled. Well, he ran immediately to a burgundy-colored van that was there. And of course, the owner was not in the van, but he was up at the store. The owner said to himself, I believe Christopher Hendricks is trying to steal my van. So the man, who has a concealed weapons permit, promptly pulled out his firearm and extracted Christopher from his vehicle at gunpoint. He would have been totally justified if he'd have shot Christopher, but he didn't want to do that. And Christopher complied and got out of the vehicle. So that's 2 vehicles that he tried to take. So Christopher decides that at this point in his excitement that he should probably flee from this particular location because these folks from Polk County, Florida, were not in the mood to have their car stolen or jacked from them this morning. So what does he do? He starts and he runs down the side of the embankment, and he jumps onto the westbound traffic of the interstate. Well, there's a fellow driving a box truck. That fellow says to himself, I really don't want to run over Christopher Hendricks, who has just jumped into the westbound traffic of Interstate 4, and if that's not a suicidal move, I don't know what is. So he slams on brakes. He is rewarded with his efforts by being rear-ended by a semi. So now we have another crash. Well, Christopher sees that he's created another kerfuffle. So he flees and he runs to the other side of the westbound traffic, where a very nice person driving a green pickup truck has stopped to help. So he tries to get in that vehicle. Well, that fella doesn't think too much about that as well, and he's got his doors locked so he can't get in there. Is Christopher deterred? No, he's not deterred. So he goes to the 4th vehicle. That is another Good Samaritan who stopped on the interstate to try to help in a red Chevy Equinox. He tried to get in that vehicle. That victim grabbed his keys out of his vehicle and he ran. Well, all during this time, people are dialing 911 and our deputies are frantically trying to run in emergency mode to get there. But if you're familiar with this particular area, it's kind of out in the countryside on the interstate. But we arrive. We arrive in force. And we take Christopher Hendricks into custody. And we put Christopher Hendricks in handcuffs in the back of our car. He is not pleased. Christopher Hendricks tries to escape. He kicks the back windows out of the patrol car in an effort to escape. Not only was he going to escape, he was going to steal our handcuffs too. We didn't appreciate that very much. So finally, we've got Christopher Hendricks wrestled under control and locked up in the county jail. It's our goal to send him back to state prison. But first and foremost, I want to thank the two people at the Marathon Station, what I call wonderful people from Polk County, who said, Christopher, you're not going to steal my truck. You already tore your own truck up. And then when he ran down into the interstate, people trying to help, he tried to steal their car, and they go, you're not stealing our vehicle. And they resisted him. And ultimately, he was arrested. I have absolutely no idea what this guy was thinking. But it was evident this morning he might have had 5 brain cells. 3 of them weren't working. He's locked up in the county jail. The Highway Patrol is assisting. They're doing the vehicle crashes. They will coordinate with and continue to work with our detectives and deputies as we solidify all of the various felony charges against him. Our goal is to send him back to state prison for an extended period of time because it's painfully evident to us that the community is not safe when he's at large. Now, I know probably his parents will think this is a low-level, nonviolent misdemeanor, and he really didn't mean it, and he's sorry, and he's very sorry, and he didn't mean it, and he won't do it again until he does it again. But that's not the way the rest of us think in the system. The rest of us understand him for what he is. He's a dangerous man. Are there any questions?
Sir, do you see that the people involved, specifically the victims, were lucky this morning? And you mentioned he could have been shot, so perhaps you could argue he's lucky too, right?
Sure, it was a lucky day for him. He was not injured in the car crash. She didn't set him on fire when she sprayed him with gas. The man who owned the other car, while he was committing forcible felonies, had every right to shoot him and didn't. He only used enough force to get him out of his vehicle and on his way. So he was as fortunate as our victims were. Yes, our victims were fortunate. But you know what is really cool about Polk County? We fight back. We fight back against criminals. We carry concealed firearms. And heck, the lady who didn't have a concealed firearm had a gas hose, which worked just remarkably well. But even after he was in handcuffs in the car, he still fought to get away. What is he thinking? I think he's thinking, I don't want to go back to prison. But we're thinking, you should. So that's where we are today.
Sheriff, you're not allowed to use deadly force for a property crime. Why do you say he would have been justified in killing him?
Well, because that is a, first off, he tried a carjacking with a lady. And then he was doing a burglary of a vehicle. And he was in the string of a group of felonies at the time.
That sounds pretty shaky.
It is if you're the suspect. I guarantee you, when you start trying to carjack somebody's car at a gas station, you're subject to get shot, and shot a lot.
Did he have a weapon?
She didn't have to have a weapon, brother. You can carjack with just pure violence and force.
Stealing a car.
He was trying to carjack the First Lady. She was gassing up.
With the gun owner.
It's all the same thing. It's all the same event.
You don't think that's a dangerous message you're putting out to Polk County citizens?
That is an absolute correct message I'm putting out to Polk County citizens. You try to break into somebody's car and steal it while they're there with it, that's called armed carjacking.
He wasn't armed.
The other guy was armed. You don't look at individual events. You look at the string of violent felonies he was committing. And that's a violent felony to try to take somebody's car from them with force, with or without a weapon. And you're sending the wrong message. The message is you don't have to have a firearm. You don't have to have a knife to be a dangerous individual. And if you come to this county, and if you use extreme violence to try to carjack somebody from their car, if you get shot, that's on you. You can protect yourself and your property.
I think some attorneys would disagree with you, but you're the sheriff, so.
I don't care. That's what the attorneys do. Attorney's attorney. But I can tell you right now, you come to this county and you do this string of violent stuff, you're blessed. You're blessed because that man up at that store had the right to protect himself. He had the right to protect his property. He had the right to protect that lady. That lady had the right to protect herself and her property. Come on, man. What's wrong with you? And then he goes down to the interstate, causes a crash, tries to break in and steal 2 more cars while they're occupied. While they're occupied. You don't think there's a problem with that?
They said they don't have a right to protect their property. That's what they did do. You were saying he should have shot him.
I didn't say he should have. I said he could have, but he chose not to.
Which was the correct choice, correct?
The choice was that he used the force necessary to protect himself and his property. Had he used that force at the end of that string of violent felonies and encounters and attempted carjackings and stealing from people's cars while they're there in it with it, and subsequently tried to break into and did get into one car with a man in it, you can't break into people's cars and take it with them in it. You can't do that. Here's a message. Mind your business. Don't commit crime. Leave people alone. And if you end up in this shape, he needs to count himself very lucky today. You got any other questions?
I do. President Trump tested positive for COVID-19. Why don't you or any of your staff in this building wear masks?
I'm not going to answer that question. You have any other questions you want me to not answer?
That's the only questions I have for you, Sheriff Judd.
Okay. President Trump comes here, he don't have to wear a mask either. Have a good day. Any other questions?
He didn't give your deputies any indication in transit why he did what he did?
He would not talk to us. He would not communicate with us. And we're still, as you know, we tie all this information together and give it to you pretty quickly. We're still lacing all this together. There's still more that we don't know. I mean, if he lives in Bellevue, which is, hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes up the road, why is he here in the morning? Why did he have the crash? Why did he flee? Why did he try to carjack the lady who's getting gas? Why did he try to steal the man's car? Why did he jump down on the interstate and do burglaries into the vehicle? He was a very dangerous person this morning. And everybody was blessed. The victims of the vehicle were blessed. It's too late after you're run over by the guy trying to steal your car and leave. Anything else? Y'all have a good day. All yours.
Sheriff. Appreciate it.
We went under.
Or were you sending these out?
Yeah, I'll send them out. Our internet is not the
I'm
best
just gonna take them.
today.
I'm gonna take them now out of the way.
So you're gonna send them all
Yeah.
all
Mhm.
pictures out? Okay.
Internet was long enough to let me do it.
Thank you.
Did you want to hit close to the thing?
Yeah.
And that was without Wi-Fi.
Seemed like it held focus and everything good. I just didn't like the lighting. Sorry.
Did you tap his face when you walked up? Or?
No, because he seemed to be in focus, whereas